Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Vaxherd, and I'm going to be running Dragon Warrior 3. You see here, this is the original NES release. I should say original American release, because of course it was originally Dragon Quest 3 in Japan. Interesting note right here, we're just on the title screen, but in the original Japanese release, they actually ran out of memory on the cart and couldn't include the title screen, and so when you boot up the cartridge, it just says Dragon Quest 3 on the black screen, and you don't get any of this nice little introductory scene here with actually about the only dragon you will see in this run. So with that said, let's get going. I do have to concentrate for large parts of this run, so I may overlook stuff in chat, but I will try to answer questions as they come up, so please feel free to ask. And with that crash into the volcano, let us get ourselves going. So, new quest. We actually have a very specific name we're going to set here to set up the RNG for our first segment, and I guess I'll give a countdown for starting the timer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And so, like most Dragon Quest games, we wake up as a hero in training. We're sent off to see the king on this momentous 16th birthday. And so off we go. As probably some of you have seen in the schedule, this is a glitched run, so things will be going a bit strange later on, but for the moment it is mostly a straightforward beginning. The one catch is that I do have to be careful about movement. This is very carefully step routed, and I'll explain a bit more about that later, but particularly the first half of this run, any mistake will cause me to have to reset to the previous save, so that is why I'll need to concentrate in a few places. But for the moment, here's the king giving us our mission to defeat the Archfiend Veramos, and since the world is in such great danger, he gives us all 50 gold for our party. If you've played Dragon Quest, you know 50 gold is nothing. So maybe the world isn't in as great danger as we thought it was, but anyway, we have our 50 gold, and that is enough to give us 2 Wings of the Wyvern. So come down here, pick those up. Wing of the Wyvern, of course, being an item that will let you warp back to any town you visited previously. Yes, one more please, thank you. In some cases it will let you warp to towns that you have not visited, and you'll be seeing that in a bit, but there's our 2 wings. We also want to pick up some extra characters here. Going to create 2. We do get 3 automatically generated characters, but we do need a total of 5 extra characters in this run, and so we're going to create 2 more here. First one, of course, the short names for fast text speed. One more. That was a pilgrim that we just created, and the next one is going to be a wizard named O. Wizard. And there we go. And now we will pick up some people here at Luisa's place. So if you see as the list comes up here, you will see the 3 characters that the game created for us: Brindar, Harley, and Petrus. So we'll take Brindar with us for a moment, and then also the 2 new characters we created. Yes. And take O as well. So these names that I've created, partly for speed, but also partly because with this particular setup, I will get an encounter as soon as I leave the town. Which is good because we need to do some stuff to set up for the rest of the run. So here we go. Thank you. A bewildered slime, and I do not blame him for being bewildered because of what's about to happen. So yes, we have to actually kill off 2 of our characters here. So this is just a very convenient way to do it. RIT E and O, but they will serve a very good purpose later, so it's all for the best. So we will leave them here, and E. So there's those 2 gone. Then we're going to take out the other two characters, and this is when we will actually get going on our quest. So Harley and Petrus will come with us, but as we do this, we are actually going to take advantage of the first glitch we use in this run here. So I'm resetting there, by the way, because as soon as you add the character and it gives you the message, it has already saved your game with the new character, so we can just reset there and start with those characters. Now, if you saw for a moment, I changed the message speed on a file called E?, and what that's going to do is it's going to activate something called seed lock, which is a simple explanation is that it's basically a bug in the random number generator, which basically turns off the randomness. So we're going to warp out here. I do need to wait for a music cue here to skip an encounter, so just a moment. There we go. So seed lock is a bug in which the RNG becomes no longer random and just turns into a counter that counts up from 0 to 255 over and over again. And this is going to essentially let us manipulate the entire run. So we can control when encounters occur. When we do get an encounter, we can control what enemies we get, what damage we do, all of that stuff. So here we go. We're going to go through our first dungeon here. I've heard rumors there are supposed to be monsters in this dungeon. I don't believe it. It's just a perfectly ordinary tower, you know, just walking around, having a cool day. So we're going to get up to the top of this tower here. There's this hermit guy living up there, who, I don't know why. I guess some people like, you know, living away from the, you know, the bustle of the big towns. But here we go. Finally make our way up through his labyrinthine residence. And he is going to be very kind that someone actually came to see him and give us a wizard ring. Actually, I guess he said it was a thief's key. Maybe it kind of also looks like a thief's key, but we'll fix that later. And so that's that. And now we're going to use our second Wing of the Wyvern to jump right over that river there and get back to Aleahan. We do need to do an encounter skip here, because all those monsters that weren't in the tower were waiting for us to get out. So we skip past that. And now I'm going to have to focus because we're actually coming up on the true boss of this game, the town boss. So not only do I have to be perfect with my movement here, I also have to be perfect with most of my menus. So I just need to focus and make sure that I don't make any mistake, because as I said before, any mistake is a forced reset in this segment of the run. So in just a moment here, I do need to make myself a little bit of money. Now I'm going to pick up a couple of herbs. There's 2 herbs, and thank you. And we also need a couple more wings. In a normal route, I only take 1 wing here, but I'm going to take a second for to use with a safety save later. So just for safety purposes. There we go. And now we're good. Now next part. We have this scary little house here, which is scary because as you'll see when I go up to the 2nd floor, the screen loads really quickly, and so I have to be ready to move as soon as it's there. Okay, got through that. So far so good. Now we have to come down here, pick up 1 thing from this shop. Yeah. So it claims to be a leather helmet. We'll see about that later, but for the moment, I'm not going to complain. You know, whatever he wants to call it, I'm happy with that. So I will say I have not been able to pay nearly as much attention to chat as I thought I would. So I will. There will be points in the later while I'll be able to actually look at it, look at chat. But for the moment, I do have to concentrate. So I'm sorry about that. I guess kind of hold your questions until I have a spare moment. So this is actually the first room in the game where it is safe to bonk on the wall like that. So I'm glad I did it there and not anywhere else. So use our little plot coupon there. To open up our path to the next area. So we do have a fairly scary encounter skip coming up here. You'll see why when I get there, but I have to count steps because there are no visual cues to tell me when I need to stop. So I'm going to focus on that for just a moment. Hopefully get it right. And we got it. Good. Okay. So you see, there is no way to tell where you are in that corridor aside from counting the number of times the hero steps. So I do need to make a quick little zigzag here, and the reason for that is because of the way encounters work. So the way encounters work, I have a moment to explain, is that there's an encounter rate for each dungeon, well, for each area I should say. Dungeons, for example, have an encounter rate of 10, which means that if you're playing normally, then on average 10 steps out of every 256 you will get an encounter. Now, in Seedlock, as I said, the RNG turns into a counter, so as soon as you get past that, whatever number it is, 10 in this case, you're guaranteed not to get an encounter for the next 200 or so steps, and that is why, you know, we've been able to walk around so freely. So yes, spoilers, there are in fact supposed to be encounters in that first tower, and we just skipped them because of Seedlock. The catch is that when you go through one of those room transitions, if you saw me walking into the darkness, then the encounter rate jumps by about a factor of 8, and so we had to do a little zigzag to make sure the counter was at the point where it would be safe to exit the room. So quick encounter skip here. So I had to do a little music cue because the hills have a very high encounter rate. If I'd started walking immediately, I would have gotten an encounter there, and don't want to do that. So we're in here. Yeah, you may have noticed we kind of skipped the town entirely. That's okay. It's not important. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna stop in here for a handy little item called the Poison Needle, which has a 1/8 chance to outright kill any enemy that you hit, including, for example, Metal Babbles. Nice little shopkeeper had it open there for us. I'm sure he won't miss it, you know. It's not a big deal. So I've been talking about how the Seedlock lets us skip encounters. It also has a downside, which is that it makes us skip encounters. So we actually do need to get an encounter now, a very specific one, but since we just skipped an encounter right before going into Knave there, we have to basically just force the counter to roll back around to 0. And turns out the fastest way to do that is just to walk around a bunch. And so we take a little mountain tour here. Very nice, pleasant place. Oh no, it's an encounter! So yeah, these are, you know, as you can see, at level 1 these will destroy you, but as it turns out, that is exactly what we want to happen. So, it's all good. Parry, and this is where we're going to use that first wing. Okay, quick get out of there. Okay. So doing a little careful movement there, and I'll display that in just a sec. Okay, the hardest part of the run is now over, and I can't tell you guys how relieved I am that that went so so cleanly. So gonna leave Brindar here, and we're going to make a quick safety save. So there we've just saved at Luisa's, and we're going to make a copy of that file so that if anything else goes wrong, we can at least restart from there. So copy 1 to 3, continue 1. And this is why we have that second wing from before, because if we didn't have it, we have to walk all the way out of the castle and to get to Luisa's, because we need to get party members here. But with the wing, we can just warp straight out, and it's a much shorter walk. So now we're going to take back Brindar, who we just added recently, and the reason is there's another glitch with Luisa's place. That normally the game is smart enough not to let you leave all of your living characters at the bar. But if the last character you leave is numb, which is what we're going to be doing now. If you saw the NM in the status screen earlier next to Brindar's name, it means he's numb. He got paralyzed by the killer bee earlier, which is why we needed that specific battle. So we're going to leave him here, and you see the game just happily lets you leave your last living character, and we've got, you know, these 2 ghosts in our party. And now we're going to make use of the other 2 dead characters we set up earlier, and we're going to have a full ghost party of 4 characters. So yes, as High Spirit said, this is a task. This was originally a task that I put together, and I adjusted the route so that it is more or less real-time runnable. There are a few changes that I had to make because the task uses some frame-perfect inputs coming up, but for the most part, there are actually no frame-perfect inputs in this game. So that's what makes it feasible. So I do need to do a little bit of inventory management, and then strange things are going to start happening. So, yeah, disrobe our wizard. So there, okay. And now I'm going to need to focus on these overworld segments, so I probably will not talk much during them. I'll try to explain what's going on afterwards. Okay, make sure that worked right. Oh, look at all those spells. How about that? So each time I step on the overworld there and it makes that swamp damage noise, look at that, I have a rainbow drop. Where did that come from? Basically, I am glitching out parts of the game's memory. The fact that I have 4 ghost characters in my party has essentially confused the game, and so sometimes when I step, it will just corrupt parts of the memory, and that's what's going on here. So just like that, we should now have a Shield of Heroes. Fancy that. I also noticed that we have a Black Raven in the Heroes inventory. Where'd that come from? So Black Raven, oops, wrong item. Black Raven is actually, for some reason or other, highly valued by shopkeepers. And so we will be... This may not be a Dragon Quest Monsters game, but that is the one monster you can catch in this game, and the shopkeepers will be very happy when I give it to them. Oops, okay. So that is something that can happen just randomly. Ideally, I don't want to get any of those X is dead messages, but every now and then I will just get unlucky. That is the one place where randomness has a factor. You also notice that Petrus, unfortunately, had his name changed. That is one of the things that can happen when you are doing these glitches. So I will just have to redo the last step of that one cycle. I may not have explained it clearly, but the Spear of Light, yay, another endgame item that we just sort of appeared out of nowhere. The way the glitching works is dependent on the overworld music, so if I step on certain notes, then I will get certain items glitched. So another unfortunate miss there. Petrus is now Letras. And I do need one more step there. So this is not going quite as smoothly as I would have liked, but on the whole, definitely not bad. That should give a space to draw it. And okay, so now we need to switch some order around. 1, 2, 1, 1. So it's another place where I have to step back and forth. The key here, actually I'm going to hold off for just a moment because I do need to focus. The key there is that whether the status window opens or not, no, I need info. Spells, yay. Whether the status window opens or not affects the timing, which is a very important factor in how the glitching goes. So I do need to, there by the way is the Wizard's Ring. The Thief's Key has revealed its true nature. So that's why for some of those glitches I do need to step back and forth over and over like that. Let's see, what should we do here? Okay. So I probably could have sped things up a little bit by changing formation there, but we're just gonna do it this way. Okay. Strength Seed looks good. We'll change it to formation. We do have, I think we're going to have, looks like 2 more cycles here. So we're almost done. Yes, Dragon Warrior 3 is now a rhythm game. Welcome to the new reality. Okay, Stick Slime is just totally random. Sword of Kings. How about that? Well, actually, that means we are done. I'm going to throw this Stick Slime away just because it can actually crash the game if I accidentally use it, and we don't want that to happen. So take a minor time loss to do that, but otherwise we're actually done with glitching here. We have all of the endgame equipment we need. Oops, I meant I need to sell first. We have all the endgame equipment we need. We have the Rainbow Drop to get to the final dungeon. We have the Sphere of Light to use on the final boss. Selling, I believe, is R that had the Black Raven. Yes. So, look how popular those Black Ravens are. Nope. So we are now done with selling. Gonna pick up some. Actually, I was gonna pick up some wings first, but whatever. There we go. So herb to. So now we're gonna have one herb for healing later, but most of these herbs we are actually going to use on the final boss. If you don't know, there is the final boss has a special feature in which healing items or spells will damage him, and so that it turns out this is actually a very nice way to do some damage on the boss, and I will let you see how nice when we get there. Make sure I have all the things I need. Looks good. And so now we just need to revive our characters, because we do actually have to be alive to fight battles. So as the Dragon Warrior 2 healer says, this is a very delicate operation. It may take a little while. So if anyone wants to throw any questions at me, this might be a good time, because we do have about a minute of reviving here. So yes, what happened was I got as far as the third town maybe? Third or fourth town, picked up an item, got a specific battle, and then took advantage of a glitch, which lets me basically change all of my items around. And that is where we stand now. So if you saw, I was double checking during the run, but we also managed to glitch most of the pilgrims' highest level spells into their spell lists, and those will be very useful during the final dungeon. So everyone's alive, and I'm just going to make one quick double check before I delete the safety save. Look at those towns that we haven't been to before. So yes, that was the final part of the glitching sequence that I did. Is that will let me use the wing to go to the end game towns, which of course I have never been to in this run. So we're going to go here and do a quick save. Thank you. And now we are going to set up a special save, and in order to do that, we do have to clear out that safety save that we made. So just a couple of resets here. It's going to be YPP female 3. So the reason we can do these sorts of things is because when you go into the main menu here, there's a change message speed. If you change message speed on a file, that actually changes what the RNG will be when you start up. So we used that to do seed lock in the previous segment. Now we're using it to set up a grind battle. So yes, High Spirits kind of hinted at it, but there will be a bit of level spam coming up. So it's not equip, not item, but equip. We do need to equip some stuff here. Armor of Radiance is sort of randomly sitting in there in the inventory. And now we can use that Wing of the Wyvern to jump over the entire game. So, you know that guy Baramos that we were supposed to defeat? We just kind of ignored him entirely. And actually, once we get into... well, that's kind of spoilers, so I'll get to that later. But look at this! Bewildered Metal Babbles. So we should do something about them. Fight and fight. Look at that crit for 10. Kaishi no Ichigeki. And running away is actually a key here because it lets you win with the proper RNG state. And yes, we just got 26,800 experience for level 1 characters. And you probably know what this means. It means level spam. Yes, it is actually, will be about 8 minutes, so this is a great time if anyone has questions about the run or the game, about any of the stuff we skipped over, which I may not actually be able to answer because I haven't played it recently. But yeah. So this is how we managed to get our party into a state where we can finish the game. Yeah, it is... I have a split just for this, well, for the battle and the levels, and it's about 9 minutes, I think. So it's 30 seconds of doing the battle and 8.5 minutes of going through levels. Yeah, this is so I mean, as with all Dragon Warrior games, Dragon Quest games, the way you grind levels is through metal enemies, metal slimes, metal babbles. Just usually you don't do it in a single lump this large. And usually you don't get it in the very first battle too. So that's part of the routing of this run. So yes, about just about 20% of the run. I do have a couple of, I did put that safety save in, so that will have cost a few minutes, but in a, my current record is 46 minutes and 14 seconds, so 8.5 minutes is just about a fifth of that. So, what level do I get eventually? We will be going to 17, 18, 18, and 18. So you see the heroes just hit his final level. And now we're going to go through them for the rest. So it's about 2 minutes and a bit for each character. If something goes wrong during the glitch, Chidori Blade, during the glitch, most of the mistakes are recoverable. I've had times where I have had to spend 7 or 8 minutes recovering from a mistake. But most of the mistakes there are recoverable. There is one, and it's not really a mistake, but it is just a random, a bit of random unluckiness you can get where it actually glitches out the status of your party. Basically turns one of your characters into like a non-existent state. And once you do that, you can't even revive them. It thinks that they're not in your party anymore. And if that happens, either you have to go back to the safety save, or if you don't have a safety save, you have to start over from the beginning. It's just run dead. And that actually is the only reason that I make that safety save, because it can happen. It's very rare, but it can happen. And if it does, you know, I don't want to have to restart from the beginning of the marathon setting. But other than that, if the usual mistake that happens is I glitch an item too far. Each step, there's essentially a list of items in the game, and each time I glitch, the item number moves 2 steps down that list. And if I go too far, there's no way to pull it back. So what I do in that case is I will buy a new item, like an herb, for example. You saw I can usually get the Black Ravens early on. And so I will just sell one of those, get all the money I need, and then I can buy things like clothes or cypress stick. There are certain items that I know if I buy that item, I can then glitch that, and it may take, you know, 7 or 8 cycles walking outside of the town back in, but I can then get that back to the item I wanted, and it just takes a long time to recover. But it's not fatal to the run. JJ Gordon, this was it was a 3 metal babble fight, and I killed 2 of them. So it was 26,800 experience, I think. Thank you, Derp Nasty. It was fun. I will say it's fun putting this route together, because basically, because of the seed lock that I talked about, basically the entire run boils down to a gigantic mathematics problem. So, well, I went through and I figured out how the battles worked, all the algorithms. Alistair, this is Dragon Warrior 3. It's the third in the... it's the NES release of the third in the series. And yes, JJ Gordon, the poison needle. So what happened there, I got 1 crit, 1 Kaishin for 10 damage on 1 metal babble, and then the poison needle hit a second. And that's how I got the 2. Interesting note about that, by the way, is that if I hadn't equipped the club on that pilgrim that I did right before warping to Renudar, he would still have crit, but he would have done it for, I think, 4 damage, which is not enough to kill the battle. It's kind of funny to see somebody crit a babble and still not kill it, but it's not useful for a speed run, so we do remember to equip that the club. But yes, getting back to that, you know, I've worked out the formulas for everything that happens in battle, for example, and essentially each turn in the battle is just a math problem that says, you know, this action advances the RNG counter by this number, and so, you know, to get to the next, the way I did it is I started from the end result I want. So, for example, with the battle earlier where I got the 1 numb character, I said, okay, I want to end this battle with 2 characters dead and 1 numb, and then I said, okay, what needs to happen on the previous turn to get there, and worked out the numbers. And for the boss battles coming up, it is essentially the same thing, it's just a lot more turns. So yeah, solve for initial conditions, exactly, Obnoxious. So yeah, that's what's going on, and we're actually through 3 of the 4 characters, so we're making progress. Oh, Alistair, have I ever played Dragon Quest VIII? Yes, I do. I have played Dragon Quest VIII. I enjoy that. I enjoyed that as well. I haven't speedrun it. Unfortunately, I don't have the kind of time to learn and to run that game. You know, the 8 hours on end. I've done 1 multi-hour speedrun. If you've ever heard of the Lunar series, I did that kind of for fun. It's a game that was a game I enjoyed a number of years ago. But these days, you know, just it's the curse of real life. Too many other things to do that I just don't have time to, you know, sit down and play the game for 8 hours over and over, even though it's a good game. So yeah. But yep, this is getting back here, and never heard of it, huh? High Spirits. Sample my goods. How did I figure out the formulas? It's basically just dissecting the program code. going through it, seeing how the program, basically analyzing the program, seeing exactly what it does from one, for each turn, for each action in battle. There's a list of actions, and each action has, say, a damage range, and here's how it calculates the random number for each, for each bit of damage. And it was just a lot of, studying, essentially, studying the game, and then, putting that into a formula that I could use to make the route. And with that, we are actually just about done with the levels. So, whew, all those levels. And if you notice, we talked to this guy, we're suddenly in, our text is now in the critical color, because even though we haven't taken any damage, our max HP went so high that it thought we were critical. So, good, so we will return to Aleahan and do a quick save here. Whoop. That girl, I don't know why, but she seems to get in my way no matter which way I choose to go into this, into Louisa's. Anyway, quick save here. I do have a line in my notes right here that says, "Do not reset early, you idiot," which is something I did once. You have to wait until it finishes saving before you reset, or the save file is corrupt and you have to start over. So I do have a line saying, "Do not do that." But with that, we are actually on to the last segment of the game. So, get that Armor of Radiance onto the hero, and set up our equipment. And we can warp to the end. Turn to Removar. So one quick encounter skip coming up here. I do have to use 2 heals for actually a couple of reasons. One is because the encounter rate in forests is higher than on grass. The other reason is because of something called the discard, or in my notes I call it the battle seed, referring to the same thing, but there is a kind of a second seed in the RNG, which when you do things like cast heal spells, or pretty much anything in battle, what the game will do, and to try and make it a little bit more random, is it will call the it will ask the random number generator there we go, to give it a number, but then it will throw that away, and then it will do that several times before actually choosing the number to use for damage or healing. And the catch about this discard number is that it is never reset, even when you power off and on. The number is saved in the game's save memory, the battery backup. So that you have to be very careful when you're doing this run, because if you get into a battle and you start a turn, like if you confirm all of your actions in a turn, that changes the discard. And then even if you reset, even if you mess up and have to reset, the discard is then is changed, and you have to do some backup strats to get it back to where you want. So I'm going to stop explaining for a sec and count wizard's rings, because I have messed this up before. So that was the first. Counting is surprisingly hard when you're talking about other stuff. So here's number 3. I need to do 5 of these. So number 4 and number 5. And then we have 5 heals to do, and hopefully I will not accidentally return her outside, because that would be very distressing. 3, 4, and 5. So the discard is important because that's what lets you get past, say, an encounter rate of 10, not Wizard's Ring, that was close, an encounter rate of 10 with just 1 heal, because the discard throws away a bunch of the random numbers and advances the counter that much more. So now we're into this room with a bunch of giant statues, which don't look very friendly. So they want us to defeat them first. Well, conveniently, we have this spell called Defeat. So, yeah, works for me. Nice of them to tell us their weak point. So, moving on here. Fight. Defeat. So these heals, by the way, that I'm doing between the battles are for RNG manipulation. I do need to get the counter to the right place. It's all part of the math that I was talking about earlier. So 2 heals and then 2 wizard's rings here. Wizard ring is here. And number 3. So fight, defeat. And this one we have to use a heal for more RNG minute. So each action affects the RNG in different ways, and so sometimes we have to do these actions that seem meaningless, but actually affect how the rest of the battle proceeds. And so just like that, we are through the 3 Granite Titans. And we're going to head down through this dungeon. So conveniently, we just learned the Step Guard spell, so we're going to make use of that here. And gosh, a stairway. Whoop. Took 2 extra steps there, so I would need to account for that later on. This floor is very annoying. If you saw the Dragon Quest III Super Famicom run earlier, the race earlier in the marathon, you know that these change what your D-pad does. And so you have to take a very careful path of holding up to win. So, come down here 2 steps early. Gonna do another encounter skip. This is going to be 6 heals and 2 wizard rings. It is actually possible, and in fact, in my tasks, I do in fact use a shorter path that saves 28 steps. The problem with that is I have to do 2 extra heals, and so I lose most of the time that I would save. Here's my 6th. That one I can actually just look at my remaining MP to know how many heals I've done, so that one's a lot easier. So in the end, you only save about 2 seconds if you have perfect menuing, and by perfect I mean frame perfect menuing. And I, as a human being, do not have frame perfect menuing, and so it ends up being faster to just take the hold up to win method. So one thing I should mention, if you heard me mentioning I took extra steps, I do have extra steps routed into this dungeon. I had 4 there, and then I have 4 on this floor. And so since I took the 2 extra steps earlier, I just needed to take 2 instead of 4 before going down the stairs. And so here, a hero is fighting a monster alone. You may remember these guys from the very beginning if you saw the title animation. If you're playing this casually, this battle can actually be can draw out for quite a bit, because Ortega has the Heal All spell, and if he uses it, he's got enough MP to use it, I think, 3 times, so it can drag out for a while, but we're in the middle of a speed run, so sorry Ortega, but we kind of need you to die really quickly. So we, as part of the manipulation for this route, we just made sure that he dies in 2 turns like that. As an interesting note, we've gone through, this is a glitched run, and so we are exploiting mistakes that the programmers made, but I want to call out, they actually added a line for if Ortega wins the battle. It says that he used up all of his energy and died. But as it happens, mathematically there is no way for Ortega to win, so that is what we call a defensive programming, and it's a very good thing to do, that if you're not sure about something, put in a kind of a safety check like that. And they've made some mistakes with the glitches that we exploited, but they also made some really good decisions like that one, so I just wanted to call that out. And just like that, we are on to the final boss rush. So yeah, rip Dad. Poor guy. So once again, these are all routed out with math. Heal self, carry, heal all Oh, parry, parry. I will probably talk to myself a little bit here just because I want to make sure that I get all of the turns right. Because again, any single mistake here is a reset, so let's not do that. Sword of Kings, this is where the Sword of King comes in really useful. This is going to be a heal us. So, mistakes I have made in the past, for example, I have accidentally run instead of using a spell, for example. It's something you don't want to do. Like very, very nearly, or instead of item. I've used the wrong spell, which is a mistake. Okay, let's do this turn. That blaze was not a mistake, by the way. That was intentional, because we need it for RNG minute. And let's finish this off. Yes, I do have notes, X-Molder. Ideally, I prefer not to look at them because it can be a little bit distracting. But I do have notes I can refer to if things go wrong, or if I get lost. I'm suddenly a little bit worried about my HP, but I think we should be okay. Let's see. So here I need to be really careful here because there is an issue with the menu movement, where sometimes if you hit down once, it goes down twice, and there is no confirmation if you try to discard an item. So if I need to transfer this wizard's ring around a couple of times, and if it accidentally goes to discard, that's RIP. So I want to be very careful about that here. And I need to use 3 here. It's 2 and 3. And let's see. So this we need to fight. So this is Baramos. This is the brother of the guy that we kind of decided not to fight. Herb self. He can be in the casual run. He can be pretty nasty. He's not as nasty as the real Baramos, but here again we've manipulated him so that he only takes one. He only has 1 action per turn, and parry away the last damage, and so we can get through this reasonably smoothly. So lots of damage, but that's what he does, and we get through it. So. So yes, the Wizard's Ring restores empty, but it has a 10% chance to break every time you use it. And obviously I make sure that I use it at points in the RNG sequence where it does not break. So so that's why it's safe in this run. So here, let's see, we need 2 heals. So we don't actually need to do these heals yet for safety, but we do need to do them for RNG manip. So there's that. A little bit of lag there, and we get to Baramos Gonus, aka Baramos Zombie in the remakes, or in the original Japanese. He has no agility, but he hits super hard. Fortunately, all of his hits, I actually need to parry there. All of his hits are physical, and he's susceptible to surround. So we're just going to surround him. And he's not going to be able to hit the broadside of a barn. So just sort of spam spells and stuff at him, and he will fall over. If you looked closely there, you could see where the RNG counter rolled over. I'm sorry I didn't explain that before it happened, but kind of a view into the innards of the game. So, and with that, we should be right through him. So there's our final level. And just need to heal up here. Make sure we heal the right people, which is another mistake I have made. Not healing the right people. Need a Wizard's Ring here. And one more heal. And then we just need a very specific pattern to get to this guy. And it is Zoma, the final boss. So, use Sphere of Light to knock him out, and then we're going to start throwing these herbs at him. Remember, Dragon Quest VIII was mentioned a moment ago. You'll notice he does lots of cold-based attacks. Am I going to be okay? I'm going to be okay, good. So, if you remember Dragon Quest VIII, there's an item called the Nook Grass, which is kind of an antidote to cold. And so we're just going to sort of arbitrarily decide that our medical herbs are Nook Grasses, and we're going to throw them at them. And they're going to do lots of damage, like that. And like that, Zoma is gone. And time will not be yet. We stop time on final input, so I will give a note for that. But that is the final boss. Yep, final boss rush. What? Yes, I can, Countess. If I decide that a medical herb is going to be a Nook Grass, then it is a Nook Grass, okay? I'm the one running this game. So, yeah, I mean, as I was kind of mentioning earlier, we don't actually stop time until we've gone through our little victory, well, not victory tour, but we get out to the dungeon and get our reward. So there's still a few minutes left, but thank you all. This has actually gone amazingly well for a marathon. There were a couple of issues with the glitching, but other than that, I haven't had to reset from a mistake a single time, which is kind of amazing. So yeah, I'm pretty relieved it went off that well. So we just have to walk out here. If you played Dragon Quest I casually, you may recognize this dungeon. It is, in fact, the very first dungeon you go into when you start exploring outside of Alefgard. It's the one that has Erdrick's token. So it is kind of a nice way to wrap up the series, connect back to the original game. Just head back. Of course, we are locked out of our original world. NPCs getting in our way all the time. But once we finish the game, we can no longer go back to our old hometown, and so, you know, Biramos is still supposedly there, doing nasty stuff, but, you know, we can't get back there, so I guess we won't worry about it. You know, tough luck for all them, but we're down here and everything's cool. So, time will be coming up shortly. We'll be towards the end of this message here. So, get ready on time. And time. So what was that? Is that a low 50? That's really amazing for a marathon run. I am totally happy with that. So, yeah, I guess we have, so we are a fair amount ahead of schedule now, so apologies to, you know, to Star and everybody for that. But, yeah, I guess we'll let the credits play out, because great ending music. And, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the run. It was fun to put the run together, to put the route together. It was, and it's fun to run it, just to, you know, sort of skip over everything and break the game. Yes, yes, I'm sorry I played so fast in the speedrun marathon. How long did it take me to memorize the route? Well, again, you know, I do have my notes that I can refer to, but I've probably put in 20, 30 runs, so on the course of that. You know, whatever that amounts to. Got a whole hour of sleep, huh? Good job. Yeah, it was a fun run. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. I guess if you guys if you guys need me to, if you need to get back on the schedule, I could do a second run. I don't know. So once again, so somebody's saying karaoke. No, you don't. You guys don't want me to sing. Trust me. But yes. That is that. So thanks to the community for letting me do this, for taking a chance, because there is every chance. It was scheduled for 1:30 on the marathon. There was every chance it could have taken up all of that time. So I'm grateful for allowing me to do this. All wonderful guys. So yeah, shout outs to them. Shout outs, of course, to to Enix and the guys who originally made the Dragon Quest series. It's a wonderful series of games. And yeah. Am I using an emulator? No, this is on console. Also, shout outs to Sumdiner and Pop for that amazing race earlier on of the Super Famicom version. They're both amazing times. I haven't actually run the Super Famicom version, but I haven't actually played the Super Famicom version. But yeah, it is incredibly competitive in Japan, so it was neat to see that. No, I've had this cartridge ever since I was younger. I'm getting on in my years. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, this is an original cart from when it first came out, when I first played it. Yeah, pop with that casual sub 3, believe it or not. Let me put it this way. My first game was Pong, so there. So yeah, ending theme that, in my opinion, is absolutely worth listening to. I hope you all agree. So yep, again, that's Dragon Warrior 3. I hope you enjoyed the run. I'm glad. I appreciate all of you sticking around to watch it. I know that in the U.S., I'm in Japan, so this is a good time for me. But I know in the U.S. it is the middle of the night or very early morning. So I'm glad for those of you who came to watch. There's going to be a lot more. I believe it's Dragon Quest IV coming up next. So definitely stick around for the rest of the marathon, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.